Welcome back. It's a pleasure to have with me Scott Kennedy. He is the Chief Engineer for Security Operations Center for Intuit. Scott, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome, Dan.
You have a rich history with cybersecurity competitions, going back to the early days of CyberPatriot.
Right.
And you were with SAIC then, you had CyberNexus. Can you tell us how you became involved and why you became involved in competitions?
Oh, wow. If we go way back in time, we were working on a system called CNDX, which was a partnership with ourselves at SAIC and System Center SPAWAR San Diego, or SPAWAR San Diego, I don't know, merge the words around. And the object was for Navy people, if you were on a vessel and you were halfway across the Indian Ocean and they wanted to do some simulation of virus drills or malware drills or potential cyber attack scenarios, could they do that in a realistic scenario? And so the concept of CNDX was a cyber network defense exercise for the military. When we had finished that project, we started looking at, that was a great idea and we developed it well, but we could do so much better. And so SAIC decided that they wanted to fund another project, we called it CyberNexus, for a attack, defense, and forensics training and evaluation system. And we took the lessons learned from CNDX and basically reinvented the entire platform based on OVAL scoring, or OVAL, the OVAL from MITRE description, and created a scoring engine that was completely rewritten with a new way of doing things so that we could do more in-depth scoring and not require, the old CNDX system actually used exploits to verify. So if you said you had patched something, I would literally try to break into your system, and if I could, well, obviously you didn't patch it. And that's rather destructive because if you're sending live exploits to verify things, it's, you know, you say you're wearing a bulletproof vest, let me shoot you to prove you. It's not a good idea. And
in a safe environment, though, what can go wrong?
In a safe environment, it's doable, but for a repeatable environment, it's better to do it other ways. And so
now, how did you decide to go to a lower age group? Because what you're just describing sounds like something for more the military level, the professional level, maybe the college level, but you became involved with a competition that reached down into the high school and now is with the middle school.
Well, one of the things was, as we were doing the development of CyberNexus, the program manager for that, or the program leader for that, Duke Ayers, he had the idea of we should try to do this for other organizations. And we started thinking about who could we partner with and who could we try to reach out. Because we started realizing that if I can evaluate how your IT staff is doing and measure them against real world threats and real world issues, then I can also use that to train the next generation of the IT staff. And how do I get that pipeline of good people coming in? And the term I always used for the CyberNexus, CyberPatriot people, I call them fertile soil. I can grow amazing things with them. If I get the right sort of elements in together and just get them thinking about maybe IT's not a bad idea, maybe security could be fun, hey, this is a good way of earning a living, I've already solved part of my hiring problem, part of my diversity issue, part of the outreach, and I can give the capability to these students to learn tools and techniques that will give them a leg up in the future. And therefore they become much more valuable employees, and they can then go to other places and then train the next generation in themselves. And so when we started doing that, we talked with the Air Force Association, and we had come up with a logo for CyberNexus, which became the CyberPatriot logo. We had designed that logo and we thought it was really neat, but then internal, they didn't like it as much as our team did. And so when we were talking with the Air Force Association, we offered the concept of CyberPatriot, the name CyberPatriot, as well as the logo of CyberPatriot to them, and said, hey, you guys can run with this. And the Air Force Association took it on and went gangbusters. And we were the competition system for the first couple of years. I think it was year 5 or year 6. They partnered with the National Collegiate Cyber Defense Championship team, and they started running their server, and our server was used for part of the Forensics Challenge. And then follow-on years, it was a partnership with other companies as well.
And going forward to today, we see a cyber competition played like an e-sport, in an e-sport arena.
We've always wanted, that was one of our dreams back then, is just like, how do we make it interesting? How do we make it challenging? And we had the idea of being able to have somebody do a voiceover as somebody's like, and here he is, he's about to patch the system, and you can see he's downloading the right patch. But how do you translate that into a watchable scenario? And watching what esports has done, and watching how gaming and Twitch and people watching other people do stuff, finally the universe has caught up to the ideas that we were throwing around when we were writing code late at night. And you know, I love this. This is, to me, this is the greatest thing.
To me, cyber security can be played like a sport.
Well, it should be. If it's not fun, don't do it.
And I co-wrote an article a few years ago, The Case for Depth Cybersecurity Education. We talked about Gladwell's 10,000 hour rule. How could someone have 10,000 hours hands-on experience in cybersecurity when they leave college? Now, we came up with the 10,000, but said 5,000 have to come before college, because the most we can give you in college is 5.
Yeah.
Now with CyberPatriot, now with other types of activities that you can play before college, we're starting to see kids play it like an athlete.
Oh yeah.
They get started at a young age, get hooked, and then really want to see how good they can become. Is that something that the profession needs? Is that kind of commitment to being good? Well,
I mean, we're here in Las Vegas, and there's a computer security, or security in general conference, DEF CON, and it is filled with people whose passion is computer security, network security, physical security, social engineering, etc. And all of that is the culmination of people's interests and excitement over security in general. And if we can infect, and I like using that word, the younger generations of this is a good thing, and there's a lot of challenge in it, and it's interesting, and oh, by the way, you might actually earn a living doing this too, I think this is just a great win for the civilization in general. There's an organization called I Am the Cavalry. And
Joshua Corman?
Yes. And I Am the Cavalry is designed to help organizations like General Motors or other manufacturers solve the problem. Because if you were waiting for the US government or your local government, whichever government you're in, to fix the problem, if we're waiting for the cavalry to show up, we may be waiting forever. But if we say, hold on, wait a minute, I can't do this anymore, somebody has to sit down with this political party and help them fix their servers and help them do email security correctly, or the bug in my car that I really can't stand, I have to report it to them and I have to give them the chance to fix it. If we're not willing to do that level of effort and work with these people, then we're always going to have vulnerable pacemakers, vulnerable cars, vulnerable phoning systems, vulnerable phones, and we all suffer.
We have accepted inadequate security for years, but I think part of the reasons is we just don't understand what good security is and why it's important.
Right.
But we wouldn't put up with that in automobiles.
Oh God, no.
If we drive a car that's unsafe, immediately we know it's unsafe, immediately we make sure something's done about it.
Right.
And I think that's because it's something the general population develop an awareness of. I'm hopeful that in the future, by these competitions becoming spectator friendly and getting ways to translate to the general audience, that we're going to develop a generation that won't accept inadequate security.
Oh God, and that gives me hope for the future, because if we cannot teach the next generation on how to do security, if we cannot teach them on how to defend and how to do it right and how to do investigations, then at some point the current crop goes away, and then what happens?
Right.
We cannot create artificial intelligence machines or machine learning to do this because this requires human intuition.
We're at the beginning of the IoT age, and the numbers I see on the exponential growth in IoT devices, it may excite some people, it just terrifies me. Because unless we learn to build security in and appreciate what needs to be done to any device connected to the internet, things will get worse.
Well, if you look at, I'm looking at one of the TVs over here. If you look at the smart TV problem, you've got somebody who wrote a library that then gets incorporated into somebody's distribution, that then gets put into somebody's set-top box, that then gets distributed into all of these different vendors' set-top boxes. The problem is, if that library is not kept up to date, or if that library was not written correctly, then you've got a vulnerability across 10, 15, 25 million televisions. And if all of them have 5G connectivity to the internet everywhere and all the time, then at some point, you got to patch your TV, you got to patch your toaster, you got to patch your microwave, you got to patch your refrigerator. I do IT for a living, and I don't think I would want to keep doing that. But if we have vendors being able to push patches out, over-the-air upgrades, and being able to do that cryptographically secure and do it in the right way, then if you design security in the beginning, it is so much cheaper than, all right, everybody ship your new TVs back to me and I'll fix them and then ship them back to you.
And finding a way to make the general population aware of that, aware of the problem, but aware of what needs to be done about the problem will make a difference.
Oh yeah. I mean, I admit I'm an IT security person, and I have devices in my home that I know are insecure because the manufacturer won't fix the security problems in them. And I've submitted bugs to them, and they've decided, and I have a choice. I can either A, not use that solar panel system that I spent thousands of dollars putting on my house, or create a cast-off network and have it restricted, and it can't talk to the internet, and the only thing that it can talk to is these systems, and I have to, and I've put a lot of effort into making these things functional, but at the same time, it worries me that, you know, if we don't do it right, it's going to be a long-term problem.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.